The last lesson is written by Alphonse Daudet, a well-known French writer. I started for school very late and was in a great dread of scolding, especially because M. Hamel had said that he would question us on participles, and I don't know a word about them. The lesson is set in the days of Franco-Prussian War, in which France was defeated by Prussia. In this chapter, the district of Alsace and Lorraine have gone into Prussian hand after the war. What effect this had on the life of school children? Let's see. But before starting the chapter, first let me clear you about the Franco-Prussian War. Franco-Prussian War was held in 1870 to 1871 between France and Prussia. Prussia means Germany, Poland, and some part of Austria. During that war, Prussia won the war, and France got defeated. As the result, the district of Alsace and Lorraine was put into the hand of Prussia. From then onwards, these two districts started following the law and order of Prussia. The last lesson. So, let's start the first lesson, that is, the last lesson. For a moment, I thought of running away and spending the day out. It was so warm, so bright. The birds were chirping at the edge of woods, and Prussian soldiers were drilling in the field at the back of sawmill. It was way much more interesting and attracting than the rules of participles, but I had the strength to resist, and so hurried off to school. When I passed to town hall, there was a crowd in front of bulletin board. For the last 2 years, all the bad news came from there. The lost battle, the draft, the order of commanding officers, and many other bad news. And I thought to myself without stopping, what could be the matter now? Then, as I hurried by as fast I could go, Watcher, the blacksmith, with his apprentice called me.
Don't go fast, bub. You'll get to your school in time.
I thought he was making fun of me. I reached M. Hamel's garden all out of breath. Usually, when school began, there was a great bustle, which could be heard out in the street. The opening and closing of desks, lesson repeated very loud, and the teacher's ruler rapping on the table. But now it was so still. I had dependent myself on the noise to get to my desk without being seen. But that day everything was as quiet as Sunday morning. Through the window I saw my classmates already in their respective place, and M. Hamel walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler inside his arm. I had to open the door and go in before everybody. You can understand how ashamed and how frightened I was. But as I entered, nothing happened. Instead, M. Hamel saw me and said very kindly, "Go to your place quickly, little Franz. We were beginning without you." I jumped over the bench and sat down at my desk. When I had got a little control over my fright, I noticed that M. Hamel, our French teacher, was wearing his beautiful green coat with frill shirt and the little black silk cap which is embroidered. It was very special attire because he never wore it except on the day of inspection and prize days. The whole school seemed so strange and serious. But the thing that surprised me the most was that on the back benches that were always empty, The village people were sitting quietly like ourselves. Old Hauser with his three-cornered hat, the former mayor, the former postmaster, and several others sat on the back benches. Everybody looked sad. Hauser had bought an old primer, that is a book for learners, which was thumb at the edge, held it open to his knees. While Franz was wondering it all, M. Hamel moved his chair gently and said,
My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson.
What a thunderclap those words were to me! Oh, the wrenches! That was what they had put in the town hall. My last lesson. Why, I hardly knew how to write. I could never learn any more. I would stop here then. Oh, how sorry I was for not learning my lessons. Instead, looking at birds' egg or going sliding on the sour. My books that had been seemed trouble a while ago, so heavy to carry, my grammar and my history of sense were old friends now, that I couldn't give up. And M. Hamel too. The idea that he was going away, that I should never see him again, made me forget all about his ruler and how cranky he was. Poor man! It was in his honor of this last lesson that he had put on his fine Sunday clothes. And I understood why the old man of village was sitting there in the back. It was because they were sorry too, that they had not gone to school. It was their way of thanking our master for his 40 years of faithful service and of showing the respect for the country that was no more their friends.
It's your turn to recite.
I tried so hard to say that terrible rule of participles, although loud and clear, but I got mixed up on the first word and stood there holding on to the desk, my heart beating and not daring to look up.
I won't scold you, little Franz. You must feel bad enough. See how it is. Every day we have said to ourselves, Bah, I've plenty of time. I'll learn it tomorrow. Now see where we've come out. Ah, that's the great trouble with Alsace. She puts off learning till tomorrow. Now, those people out there will say to you, how is it? You pretend to be Frenchmen, and yet you can neither speak nor write your own language. But you're not the worst. Poor little Franz. We've a lot more things to damn ourselves. Your parents were not anxious enough to have you learn. They preferred to put you work on a farm or at the mills so as to have a little more money. And I've been to blame also. Haven't I often sent you to water my flowers instead of learning your lessons? And when I wanted to go fishing, didn't I just give you a holiday?
Then, from one thing to another, M. Hamel went on to talk of the French language, saying that it was the most beautiful language in the world, the clearest and the most logical, that we must guard it among us and never forget it, because when a people are enslaved and as long as they hold it fast to their language, it is as if they had the key of their prison. Then he opened the grammar and read the sub-lesson. I was amazed to see how well I understood it, and all he said seemed so easy, so easy. I think too that I had never listened so carefully and that he had never explained everything with so much patience. It seemed as if the poor man wanted to give us all he knew before going away. and he wanted to put it all into our heads at one stroke. After the grammar, we had a lesson in writing. That day, M. Hamel had new copies for us, written in beautiful round handwriting. Franz Elsa's, Franz Elsa's. They looked like a little flag floating everywhere in the schoolroom, hung from the rod at the top of our desk. Everyone was quiet. The only sound was the scattering of pen over the paper. Once some beetle flew in, but nobody paid any attention to them, not even the littlest child over there. On the roof, the pigeon cooed very low, and I thought to myself, will they make them sing in German too? Even the peasants. Whenever I was looking up from my writing, I saw M. Hamel sitting motionless in his chair and gazing for the first time at nothing. It seems as if he wanted to fix in his mind just how everything looked in that little classroom. For 40 years he had been there in the same place with same garden outside a window and his class in front of him just like that. The walnut trees in his garden were taller and were symbolizing the passage of time. All these plants were planted by M. Hamel years ago. Now just think how much broken from his heart he might be to leave these all. This poor man totally broke after hearing to his sister moving about the room packing their trunks, as they must leave the country next day. After the writing, we had a lesson in history, and the babies chanted their ba baby bo boo. Down there at the back of the room, old Hauser had put on his spectacles and holding his primer in both hands, denoting the letters with them. You could see that he too was crying. His voice trembled with emotion, and it was so funny to hear him that we all wanted to laugh and cry at the same. Ah, how well I remember it, that last lesson. All at once the church clock struck 12, then the Angelus. Angelus refers to a prayer song in church. At the same moment, the trumpets of the Prussians returning from drill sounded under our window. M. Hamel stood up, very pale in his chair. I never saw him look so tall. My friend, said he, but something choked him. He could not go on. Then he turned to the blackboard, took a piece of chalk, and began to write in block letters, Vive la France, which means Long live France. Then he stopped and leaned his head against the wall, and without a word he made a gesture to us with his hand. School is dismissed. You may go. This chapter tells us about how much our mother tongue is important for us, and this is the key of our unity. So we should always give preference to our mother tongue first. That's all for today. We'll meet again later in the next chapter. If you understand the chapter, please do like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click on the bell icon for time to time update.